Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Wet weather means leaks in masonry structures, like chimneys, for example. A.G. Hines Company carries a complete line of true water repellents that protect your masonry structures. Seal the brick inside and out. Call or visit A.G. Hines Company. It can help you with any kind of project, do-it-yourself that you're working on. They are the best building materials supplier in East Tennessee. That's why they've been around for literally 100 years. A.G. Hines Company. All right, as we mentioned earlier today, and by the way, I said Chuck was going to be back. Apparently he had a Super Bowl bet to place because he mistakenly just walked out. He left. So if you see Chuck out there, give him heck over the fact that he left early.
I think he liked the under on the national anthem.
He was out of here. As we mentioned earlier today, the Sports Business Journal has reported that ESPN and ABC is expected to pay the SEC between $300 and $400 million for their Game of the Week package. That's only 15 games, okay? Obviously, you're not going to walk away from an extra $250 to $350 million every year, which is what they're looking at. But there is a drawback here. Right now, the SEC owns its own slot. If you get mixed in with ABC and ESPN, your big game may be at 8 o'clock one Sunday on ABC. It may be ESPN at 3:30 the next week. You're just part of that mix with all the other leagues. Whereas right now, the SEC on CBS is a thing. It is its own deal. 15 weeks a year, it's 3:30 right there on CBS. In terms of branding, not money, because you're not going to turn down the money, but in terms of branding, I wonder if that's a little bit of a hit. I personally think it is. I think recruits know where to find you. I think the National Game of the Week, people think about it. I think if you're going to be mixed in with everything else now, is the way it looks to me. So you take the money, sure, but I think there's a little drawback in losing that Saturday 3:30 CBS slot.
I think it depends on the language of the contract. What if you're the SEC on ABC?
Well, the assumption is they're not going to be able to bump ACC and Big Ten, all their other, or Big 12, I guess, their other night games. But yes, if you can get that, obviously the SEC, you're fighting for give me one slot on one station. But if you can't get it, which most people think they won't,
I see it. I think it might be a positive in a way. Now you've got ESPN and ABC being on the same page with you is pretty powerful. They already were obviously in the SEC's corner with the SEC network being run by ESPN. There's a lot that comes with that can be very beneficial to any sports operation, but especially a college conference. So I think this isn't a bad thing, and you can actually move games around and maybe get them in more favorable time slots. I just think ESPN and ABC will put the SEC so much in the forefront that I think any negative will be outweighed by how much they'll play up the SEC now.
Yeah, I kind of think that ESPN is going to put even more into their coverage. So we're going to get less time at SEC Media Days, probably, when we go down there, because it already has kind of become an ESPN show. I think they'll do more of that. And as we go into more of a social media and online coverage era where you're scrolling through this, you'll find even more of an investment in time. Plus, if that money helps you win more and you're getting even more coverage of Alabama opens up the season against USC this year. Alabama wins 45-10. Stephen talked about even more. So I think the financial benefit is so much greater than the branding.
Sure, you take the money.
The loser's CBS, not the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think it kind of depends on what we're talking about. How do you package that? Could it be the SEC on ESPN at 3:30? I don't know. But
yeah, I mean that's what I'm sure they'll try and fight for that. The reporting that's been done so far suggests that you're just going to be part of the mix as opposed to having your own thing, simply because ESPN has deals with every other conference. So it's like, well, we can't just wiggle this in there. But maybe with the SEC strength and power, they can force them to do that. It just hasn't been reported yet.
You would know this, I wouldn't. I don't know what the ratings are for the SEC on CBS versus the SEC primetime game on ESPN. If there's not much difference in your rating,
there is.
There is.
The network is going to be higher than ESPN. I would have to check that. But ESPN does better than any other cable outlet out there. But I would think that the CBS game is still stronger. But that would be worth checking into. We'll get into that in a future segment. How about that? You've given me a homework assignment. I just think it's interesting. It's like Monday Night Football for years was a thing on ABC. And then it moved, and now it's kind of,
Yeah, Sunday night's the bigger deal in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah. So I just wonder, you take the money. I'm not saying it's a bad deal. You're correct that CBS is a bigger loser than the SEC. But I still think, folks, when it happens, if it's not rebranded and you are in a locked-in slot, I think people are going to say, oh, CBS 3:30, where's the game? I think you're going to get some of that.
One thing I wonder about from the fans' perspective, there's been so much uncertainty in past years with games, what times they're on TV, what time they start. Will this lead to more certainty a little bit because you're not negotiating between networks on which game CBS wants and which games ESPN wants?
It's all going to be.
Yeah. Does ESPN maybe make some earlier decisions that allows fans to plan in advance a little more?
Yeah, there might be some fan bickering too, because the SEC on CBS does feel like their own thing, right? Even if they complain about who the broadcasters are, and they're going to complain about something, so don't worry about that. But it feel like that's being taken away, and then the SEC is just being thrown into the mix with everybody else. Fans might feel that way.
Okay, when we come back, which Super Bowl franchise, 49ers or Chiefs, has had the better roster of Vols? We're going to take a trip down memory lane. We do this every year on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll look at the former Vols who were drafted by these teams, and we'll say which team had the better group. We've got some fun with Super Bowl prop bets to come. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Hey, when you're away from home, catch us on Facebook Live, our YouTube channel, or on SportsSource.tv.
Let's do it.
This is the Sports Source.